you one of those people that when you start a book, you want to make sure that there's a happy ending? And so as you get started, you're very tempted to flick right to the end of the book to see how it finishes, to make sure that it's kind of like a happy ever after ending. Well, if you flick to chapter 8:21 of Revelation, you find, well, the happiest of endings you could ever imagine. But if you did that, you'd spoil so much that comes before it. And I guess when you get to Revelation chapter 21, what you realise is that this whole incredible story that starts with God's plan for a world in Genesis 1 reaches its climatic explosion in this chapter. And what we read here is absolutely mind-blowing. But to get your head round what John's actually saying here, you've really got to read the whole thing, because really the Old Testament, the New Testament, reaches its utter climax in this chapter with so many strands and so many things coming together. It's absolutely magnificent. And why is John writing this book? Well, as you remember, he's writing to the people in the churches of his day who were about to suffer or who were already suffering for the faith that they had in Jesus Christ. They were being tempted to join in the city-state, the Roman city-state, with all its splendours and its luxuries and its extravagances. They were tempted to compromise on their faith. So what we've got here in chapter 21 is John saying, you'd be so foolish to do that. You don't want to be part of that city, because the city that God's building is so much better. And the city that's to come, it's an eternal city with everything that's wrong put right and nothing that's bad ever allowed into its midst again. What you've got here in chapter 21 is this picture of utter perfection, the perfection that completes the story. And as I said, what John does is it brings together several images into one. This is the bride of Christ. This is the splendid bride as she comes out in all her finery. This is the church heading towards its beautiful consummation. This is the city coming down from heaven, the New Jerusalem. This is the Garden of Eden restored and made wonderful once more. And there's so much imagery that pulls together these strands from the Bible. This is a place where there's no more crying or sorrow or pain. All that's been done away with. All that's not necessary, because Jesus is making all things new. So if you want to get your head round the splendours of this final chapter, you really need to go back to the very beginning and read it all through again, because as these symbols and motifs reach their conclusion, what you've got here is enough hope and enough goodness to say, actually, whatever you're going through in life now, whatever you're suffering now, actually that will all pale into insignificance, because this great eternal city is worth it all. Have a read of chapter 21.